Morning.
Morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're capping off the first 100-day week with our morning briefing. How does everybody feel? Last night, we saw yet again why President Trump is our deal maker in chief. We secured a historic agreement to establish the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. This is a first of its kind economic partnership for the reconstruction and long-term economic success of Ukraine that the United States will greatly benefit from. This partnership represents the United States taking an economic stake in securing a free, peaceful, and sovereign future for Ukraine. This partnership establishes a fund that will receive 50% of royalties, license fees, and other similar payments from natural resource projects in Ukraine. President Trump has been clear from the beginning. He wants the killing in this brutal war to end. This agreement shows how invested the president is in securing a truly lasting peace. To mark President Trump's triumphant first 100 days in office, we've detailed all week how President Trump has been hard at work delivering on the promises he made to the American people.
President Trump, what's your message to Vladimir Putin, sir? President Trump, do you have a message for Vladimir Putin as you meet with President Zelensky today?
Угода значно змінилась в процесі підготовки. Тепер це дійсно рівноправна угода, яка створює можливість для інвестицій в Україну, доволі вагомих, а окрім того, ще й для суттєвої модернізації виробництв в Україні та, що не менш важливо, модернізації юридичних практик в нашій державі. В угоді немає боргу і створюється фонд відновлення, який буде інвестувати в Україну і заробляти саме тут. Це робота разом з Америкою і на справедливих умовах, коли заробляти можуть в партнерстві і українська держава, і Сполучені Штати, які допомагають нам у захисті. Ми говорили з президентом Сполучених Штатів, з Дональдом Трампом про нашу готовність до укладання угоди, говорили на зустрічі у Ватикані. Фактично, зараз ми маємо перший результат Ватиканської зустрічі, який робить її дійсно історичною. Дуже чекаємо і на інші результати нашої розмови. Вийшла тоді змістовна зустріч. Кожну хвилину часу ми з президентом Трампом використали на 100%.
Being a judge, so I said, well, we want something for our efforts beyond what you would think would be acceptable. And we said rare earth. They have very good rare earth. As you know, we're looking for rare earth all the time. Rare earth is called rare for a reason. And they have a lot. And we made a deal where our money is secure, where we can start digging and doing what we have to do.
I don't want to get ahead of any announcement, but I'll just reiterate that right now, countries from all over the world, because of President Trump's leadership, are desperate and dying to make trade deals with the United States. We're going to evaluate each of those deals, and President Trump is personally involved in making sure that these negotiations serve only one interest, which is the interest of the United States of America, and we'll end up with a deal in these cases where, yes, the other countries, obviously, will have their own demands and their own interests, but nothing will go into effect that doesn't serve the interests of America and the American people.
What do you tell Americans right now, Stephen, who say they can't afford to, in the president's words, be patient? Americans who voted for President Trump on his promise that he would lower prices across the board on day one.
He was making the point that I think almost every American consumer agrees with. If they had a choice between and I'm a parent of young children, you had a choice between a doll from China that might have, say, lead paint in it, that is not as well constructed as a doll made in America that has a higher environmental and regulatory standard and that is made to a higher degree of quality, and those two products are both on Amazon, that yes, you probably would be willing to pay more for a better made American product. But here's the key point. With the tax cuts, the regulation cuts, the energy price decrease, and everything else that President Trump is doing to unleash this era of American prosperity and prevent the road we were on to get off that road of financial ruin and doom, means that it will be cheaper than ever to make and manufacture in America. I think that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks. So on the rare earth mineral deal that was signed last night, when can that deal be operationalized? What's the time frame? And what kind of leverage does that give Ukraine over Russia?
We'll move it and operationalize it as fast as we possibly can, but it's meant to pay back the United States. This is the key point. For the hundreds of billions of dollars that our taxpayers have spent subsidizing the war in Ukraine. So it is repayment to the United States, and that's one of the most important points to understand about it.
What's the leverage? Does it give? What kind of leverage does it give?
The president's goal, again, is to end the killing, to achieve a peace settlement. That remains, of course, the overriding objective.
Thank you so much.
Response to Russian reaction. As you know, Medvedev criticized the president.
What we do know from this deal and what the president has said and what has been made clear now in this arrangement is that it cements a partnership, an economic partnership between the United States and Ukraine. And it is something that also speaks to the nature of how Ukraine will rebuild after this catastrophe. It is a terrific deal. I think that it is, and again, it's the U.S.-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund, and it involves much more than just the critical minerals. What I think Ukraine understands and what we intend is that this is not just a financial arrangement. This is a bonding between two countries that will make a difference for a nation, certainly in Ukraine's situation where they have a friend, and the rest of the world will notice that when you have a friend like the United States and when we are in business with you and in your nation, it creates a stronger national security for everyone involved. And certainly in this case, when it comes to the profits that are generated, that is then reinvested into Ukraine for the rebuilding dynamic that is going to obviously have to happen. And this relationship now with Ukraine reinforces the commitment of the United States to that nation. And it's for the world, it's better off. It also reminds the American people and the world that support of another country can take many forms, and that national security can be reinforced in many different ways. And that's what this arrangement accomplishes.
Mr. President, can we talk to you real quick? Start the meeting.